Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we are from the NINT group will be presenting about the tools of the trade. In this final chapter, we've tried to put together a collection of materials which we think you will find useful in your teaching situation. Since the physical world is the main means of conveying meaning to young children, a wide variety of teaching aids is necessary in the foreign language classroom. Lessons will be much easier and much more exciting for the children if you make full use of things and objects as well as language to get your meaning across. In this video, we will be explaining about things to make, buy, and collect for you and your pupils. The first one is materials for you and your pupils to make. The first one is puppets. These can be paperback puppets, glove puppets, hand puppets, or finger puppets. In addition to the actual puppets, a simple stage is very useful if you want to perform dialogues and sketches. Next is class mascot. We've used Daddy as our class mascot, but you might like to have a ragdoll or a special puppet or something of local significance. The next one is paper dolls. These are very useful for teaching clothes, but have quite a short life and have to be regularly replaced. For this English corner, the basic have to be there already, like the board, the shelves, and etc. But encourage pupils to collect anything which is in any way connected with the English-speaking world. Displays should not be permanent. Cardboard boxes. You can collect shoe boxes and all other sorts of boxes for filing. The boxes can be covered with paper, decorated and labeled, and you could also make it as a game, an education game like this one, which shows the colors of the traffic light, or this peekaboo game, which shows and tells them about later. Picture cards can be drawings or cutouts from magazines, or perhaps photos. It is easiest to sort these according to size, really big ones for classwork and smaller ones for individual, pair, or group work. Once you have sorted them for size, put them into themes or subject areas like people, places, food, animals, number, or etc. Almost all card games can be made into language card games, and while you want to concentrate on games where some sort of language interaction is taking place, you can also play card games simply for relaxation. Older children and teachers can make up all sorts of board games. Not only are board games useful for relaxation and or language work, but the making of them presents a real challenge. Most children have played board games of some sort at home, and you can get wonderful language work out of making up the rules. You can make board games for almost any subject. For example, you can make up obstacle board games on topics like traveling through the jungle or a fantastic birthday. Word cards are useful for displays and for work on the flannel graph. Sentence cards should only be used for the beginners and only with sentences which are used aloud. If you want to get full use out of your collection, you should work out a system of classification. And here are a couple of suggestions of display systems for word cards and sentences, which you can make yourself. The first one is the flexible order of the word card displays. You can make it by bending the paper by 2 and 10 and then bend down and staple them together. Or this inflexible order, which you could pin it on the board. These examples of word card displays are taken from Andrew Wright's Visual Materials for the Language Teacher. For books reading, we talk about this in the chapter on reading, and we will explain the organizations of your books on the next topic. The next one is transparencies. If you have an overhead projector, then some of your pictures and other material can be copied onto transparencies. Transparencies should be kept in special plastic covers or framed and then put into a vial. They keep well, take up very little space, and are very useful for working with the whole class. Or if you can't find an overhead projector, you could just use the usual projector. Calendar. Your calendar should show the date, the day, the weather, and birthdays or special days. Very simple clocks with movable hands are invaluable in the language classroom, not only for telling the time as in these pictures, but also for setting the scene and changing time from the here and now.
Number 2. Buy. Readers are a real investment for the language learner, and so we want to look in a bit more detail of how to put your books in order. Number 1 is coding. Code the books by subject matter. Although it is tempting to code books according to difficulty, we would not advise it, since we think that children should select books they want to read, and not the ones that the teacher says they are ready to read. So, try to find some other way of organizing your books, such as by subject matter, animals, fairy stories, fact. 2. Display. Try to make sure the children are physically able to reach them. The point is that however you arrange your books, you should try to make sure that children are physically able to reach them. Number 3, borrowing cards. Have a system so that you know who has each book and how long they has had it. You might have a large card inside each book, and when the pupil borrows it, he or she writes his or her name and the data on the card and puts the card in the space left by the book. Maps. You should have a map of the world or a globe in the classroom. A map of your local area is also useful, especially if it shows rivers and mountains. Charts. There are a number of word charts on the market which are made for the language classroom. Be on the lookout for charts for other subjects too, especially if you are going to then work or take part in projects working across the curriculum. Toys, cars, animals, furnitures, etc. There are handles used for toys in the language classroom. They also help to connect the child's world outside the classroom to what is happening inside the classroom. Building blocks. Lego is wonderful but expensive. Other types of building blocks, wooden or plastic, are just as versatile and can become anything from cakes to houses. Recorders. You should have at least one recorder which can record in every classroom. There are reasonably cheap recorders on the market which have built-in microphones. These are quite good enough for recording yourself and the children in the classroom. Cassettes. Just as you can never have enough reading material, you can never have enough record material. Remember also to have blank cassette to record in the classroom. Projectors. Presenting materials on the overhead projector allows you to face the children all the time and provides the children with a common focus of attention. You can come back to the same material whenever you want to, and you can use the same material with different glaze. Materials for you to collect. Decision is just to remind you that children find all sorts of use for materials which might otherwise be thrown away. If we put down everything you could collect to use in the classroom, this book would go on for another 10 pages instead of ending on this one. You can collect cartons, assorted ribbons, old cards, postcards, cotton reels, all sort of paper, tissue paper, old wrapping paper, wallpaper, stamps, coins, buttons, string, jars, empty packets of all sorts, bits of material.
And that's all the explanation of the tool of the trade. Hope this help you with understanding what tools you could use in your classroom. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.